Hello, everyone. Um, Welcome. Our team is named Team Transformation. So we have Andre, myself, and Therese. And what we have researched and looked into is employee retention as a major issue within the industry. So again, part of the team. So Andre, he's a resident care specialist with Arbor Company. Myself, I'm an executive director with Benchmark, and Therese is also an executive director with Benchmark Senior Living. So just a basic overview of the Capstone project. Again, we looked at employee retention as being a continuing problem within the industry, especially post COVID recovery. Most most of the industry is really still working on day-to-day survival currently, and being more reactive than proactive, especially in terms of hiring. Right. There's also been since COVID, right? Within the past, I would say within the past 2 to 3 years, there has been a significant increase in the number of competitors within the industry. There's more and more, specifically senior living or assisted living companies that are popping up. You know, as an example, here in Connecticut, you know, I have literally about 3 to 5 competitors, all within about a 10-mile radius, which maybe about 5, 6 years ago it was only two. So it's increased significantly, which also does not help in terms of recruitment and helping in terms of filling those gaps with employees and associates. Why is our topic important? Like I said, retention reduces the risk of falls, med errors within the community. It improves the general resident satisfaction. If your numbers are up and you have the right amount of associates or staff working in your building, you're able to provide better care and better support to the residents that you serve. Retention also affects the work culture, big time. Obviously, if you have holes in schedules and you have to fill them with the staff within the building that you have, right? Not only does your overtime increase, which increases expenses, it also increases higher expenses, but it also increases burnout within the staff that you have in your building. That burnout also affects the culture. And typically, when you start having burnout and it affects the culture, it's hard to keep staff within the building and retain them. So again, the problem defining difficulty retaining staff, the causes, some of what we've talked about, limited available workforce, post COVID recovery. Another one is change of leadership that impacts the culture. It's not only just the line staff and the floor staff that companies are having a tough time retaining. It's also the leadership within the buildings and within the companies. There's also a lack of training and development that goes hand in hand with that change of leadership. Our proposed solution and implementation strategy is an onboarding and mentoring program. And then we'll go over the conclusion and increased retention rates. So first, we're going to look at defining the problem. Again, staffing shortages everywhere, particularly in senior living. As you can see here, in 2023, 92% of nursing home providers members and 70% of assisted living providers reported a significant or severe workforce shortage. During the height of the pandemic, many veteran healthcare workers opted for early retirement. There was a big loss of veteran healthcare providers. It's also a blow to the younger and inexperienced workers that are, coming on board into the industry or into senior living, because they just don't have that guidance and leadership and support there to help them learn the skills, which also, like as I mentioned before, can really be detrimental to the work culture within the buildings. Retaining staff also saves money, right? Again, a lot of companies right now are just turning over staff, losing staff, not able to retain them. It could cost companies approximately, about $36K annually per year, which is pretty significant in terms of lost money. High employee turnover can also impact productivity as remaining staff become overwhelmed, as I talked about, that burnout. Okay, the average cost of turnover for a regular position is between 6 and 9 months of an employee's salary. Replacing a highly specialized healthcare professional can cost as much as 200% of the employee's yearly salary, which is pretty significant. Again, patients also notice high turnover rates when they see the impact of poor patient to staff ratio, loss of confidence in their healthcare providers. And then, they really just don't see that they're receiving the best care, right? When they have to wait 30, 40 minutes for someone to arrive and provide them care, it's, in some cases, it's even longer, right? So, it's a domino effect when you can't retain staff and fill those, scheduling needs and provide the right amount of care. It starts to impact the turnover and residents that you have within your building as well. So, some of the numbers that we looked at right here, we really just looked at the overall cost of turnover from an employee rate, right? That 36K annually. But when you really take a look at it, it's even greater than that. When you factor in the possibility of losing residents too, that go along with that. So another thing that we took a look at is in 2024, there was, this is just a good, I thought, good data that we were able to find, is the turnover by position. What's really significant, and you can see, is that the certified nursing assistant turnover rate was around 42% for 2024, which is pretty eye-opening, right? And then you have that patient care, that PCT, at about 36%. So again, that just shows the impact of turnover within the industry. Now I'm going to pass it along to my colleague Therese, who will go over determining the causes.
Thank you, Dan. So essentially, when we were looking at the causes of staff, holding on to staff or kind of losing staff, it was really three main areas that we looked at. One was the post-COVID recovery, one was changes in leadership, and then the final one was kind of a lack of training and development available. So with respect to the post-COVID recovery, in 2021, 96% of assisted living facilities were facing a severe staffing shortage. So part of this due to the pandemic, assisted living facilities were much more reactive than proactive to the situation in terms of staffing. Part of that was extended unemployment benefits. It was the opportunity for folks in different professions to be able to work from home, which people found appealing. And then, as I mentioned, the unemployment benefits were significant as well. The pandemic, of course, was unexpected. And also the length of the recovery from the pandemic proved also to be detrimental in terms of our staffing issues. So the second cause we found was really a change in leadership, which impacted the culture. And part of that was you had new folks in leadership positions who hadn't been there before. They were then training also new employees, new staff. There also was more effort and more attention, more money put into recruiting, trying to get people to fit into schedules that were needed because we were so short on staff, versus trying to find the right people for those positions. So there was less focus on retention, less focus on the right fit, and just more about getting people in to do the work. That leads to our third cause, which was really a lack of training and development opportunities. And it does kind of go hand in hand with those changes in leadership. You had, again, folks focused on getting folks into the building to do the work, but not necessarily the right people. And you didn't have the right staffing or the amount of resources to be used to develop the folks that you already had. So we had people who were in the building, people who were working, who wanted to leave for other opportunities or wanted to be able to develop, and those opportunities were not there. We were not focusing on developing our current staffing. We were reacting to the situation and not on the staff development. So now I will be turning it over to Andre, who will discuss our proposed solution and implementation strategy on how to combat this.
Thank you, Therese. So we propose with onboarding mentoring program. I'll just quickly go over some benefits, how it impacts retention, and not just retention and the culture of the company and job satisfaction. So the developing and onboarding mentoring programs has significant impact on retention. Mentorship contributes to a positive work culture, greater sense of community and collaboration. Participating in mentor program has a positive effect on human connections. Through regular interactions, mentees can develop a deeper understanding of their mentor experiences, perspectives, and values. Also, mentor program drives personal and professional development, supports organizational goals, and promotes culture of growth. Mentors often find themselves in the role of motivator, helping mentees to set and achieve their goals. This is not only sharpens coaching and motivation skills, but also helps to develop effective management techniques. Research says that staff participating in mentorship program report higher job satisfaction, increased confidence, and a stronger sense of purpose within the organization. Mentoring is like having a personal confidence coach, helping to build self-assurance to achieve the goals. A mentor will be there to provide support, guidance, and honest feedback. Also, many workers want to know their contributions make a difference in helping their workplace achieve its mission. Involvement in hiring and onboarding process makes them feel included in decision-making and setting cultural norms. So you were thinking that mentor will assist in the interview process and employee shadowing. Then we'll go to goals. First, and important, retention. According to research, retention rates have been much higher for mentees and mentors. It's 72 and 69%, and compared to employees who are not involved in mentoring program is 49%. Employees who have mentors are more likely to feel valued, engaged, and committed. As mentees gain their new skills and experience through mentorship, they become valuable assets to the company. Investing in mentoring program, companies save so on recruitment and onboarding costs while retaining their top talent. The next goal is leadership development, involvement experienced workers in the process to develop new staff members provides opportunity for developing their coaching and leadership skills, preparing them for higher level of responsibilities. By guiding and supporting mentees, mentors develop and refine their abilities in leadership, communication, problem solving, and decision making. And the last one, not least, is, which is very important, work satisfaction. Being involved in hiring and giving feedback makes staff feel appreciated and valuable. Action steps. So we will need to create materials. First, job description for mentor, which will include the complete orientation checklist with new employees while providing on-the-job training, support new employee in the orientation process and through the day-to-day work, provide constructive feedback to new employees, and also share observation with department heads. The next one, minimum qualifications. at least 6 months of service with the community in current position, success completion of mentor training class, positive evaluation, and no recent disciplinary action in personal file. Other materials you will need is mentor application, preceptor, mentor manual. Also, you will need to create training process for mentors, which will include selecting mentors, training mentors, and actual mentor training new employees. And finally, secure findings for recognition, monetary rewards. Each mentor will receive a certificate of completion of the training program and a special name tag. And as a reward, they will get $50 for each person they trained, and then initial $100 if new employee retains 90 days. So what do we need for that? Of course, we need support from upper management on implementation of the program, finding for recognition and monetary rewards, time and space to hold the initial trainings, trainers and training materials to provide initial training to mentors. And milestones, we come up with implement mentor program, train mentors in each department, and increase the retention by 2% quarterly or 8% annually. Now I'll pass back to Therese, and she will say a few words about it to conclude.
Thank you, Andre. So in conclusion, what my colleagues and I were discussing was the issue of staff retention, particularly given the shortage of staffing within the senior living industry. We talked about some of the challenges and causes of that, including the post-COVID recovery, changes in leadership, and lack of training and development. And then we have outlined a solution with our onboarding and mentoring program to develop the current staff within our organizations, as well as to increase employee retention of our new staff. So some of the things that we wanted to pass on to other senior leaders is the need to really look at the staffing that you have, try to develop them, work within kind of the folks that you have and try to get them to buy into both the cultural aspects as well as the opportunities to retain and develop the folks that you do have. So those are some of our steps that we were looking at in terms of next steps. And then also just to really reiterate that this is a fiscally prudent option for folks to do in terms of it does make financial sense to invest in your own folks, in your own associates, and making sure that you retain them. Staff really do want to work in a place that they are valued and appreciated, and to involve them in that process really does help to create that work environment that we're looking for. So in conclusion, what we'd like to do is just leave you all with some of our thoughts and what we were learning about in terms of this project. And Andre?
I'm all about physical, psychological safety. So psychological safety is an environment of rewarded vulnerability. After CEO Timothy Clark, I think is a genius phrase here. Mentoring programs fosters employees to feel safe and supported. They're more engaged, which leads to higher job satisfaction and retention. Thank you.
So myself, for me, the higher the retention is, the greater the positive culture is. The higher the turnover, the more disruption there is. So companies that develop programs that invest in their employees' growth and development understand the importance of a positive work culture. I'm also a sports guy, so one thing I took from this program and from this research too, and this project is that everyone needs a coach. It doesn't matter whether you're a basketball player, a tennis player, a gymnast, or a bridge, player. And that was from Bill Gates. So, it's one thing I have actually on my desk that reminds me every day to try to be out there and be a coach to anyone, that's in the building.
Okay. And so my focus really is on just, retaining our talent, retaining our associates that we want to continue work with them, we do have a responsibility to develop them. And it does strengthen the organization. It increases job satisfaction for everyone. And I would say that, there is a delicate balance of mentoring. The delicate balance of mentoring someone is not creating them in your own image, but giving them the opportunity to create themselves. So really, it's just like finding the best in each person and really helping to develop that. And that could be, maybe they end up working in a different department. Like you really kind of are working with folks to enhance, the best in them, and that will strengthen the organization as well.